So again, a big thank you to, of course, my Patreon and YouTube members for supporting the channel. Your support tremendously helps. Of course, if you do want private access to my Discord, definitely consider becoming a Patreon member to gain access to that. Of course, has votings, emotes, all that kind of stuff, jizz jazz. But of course, getting into the video, I am going to be covering minor spoilers when it comes to Shield Hero, mainly to give context to the points that I want to bring up. So you have been warned, I will be bringing up some minor spoilers, but I'll be trying to minimize them as much as possible. So of course, the topic itself is to do with, of course, the three other heroes: the bow, the sword, the spear themselves, because they're definitely characters that are hated, and it's understandable why they're hated. From the perspective of anime-only fans, they are useless. They contribute and help very, very little. They feel like more of a burden on the Shield Hero, but the Shield Hero also understands that he needs them to overcome these waves, and he needs them to become stronger. But I think one of the things that some anime fans do forget, and this is where, yes, it will be some minor spoilers, is that there are reasons why the heroes are useless. Now, the obvious one is they don't trust each other. They've never really trusted each other. They've always kind of been very skeptical of each other. And any kind of minor trigger, like for example, a minor disagreement, rather than them trying to civilly work it out and discuss things and kind of come to a conclusion, they basically just try and rip each other apart. And it really comes down to the Shield Hero being the one that actually ends up trusting them more than them trusting each other, because he realizes that they're actually not lying. And that is, of course, a reference to, of course, the first season when he's talking about power-ups and they're basically mocking him, going, oh, you know, there's all these power-up systems and each one of them has a different system that the other one doesn't know about, but they all believe they're lying and trying to mislead the Shield Hero. But the reality is all of the systems do exist, and if you believe the system exists, then the system will exist, because it's just kind of hiding in the shadows. And I've always had that theory that, like, again, each one of them was deliberately given a system more accessibly to then have to communicate. So the whole point is that they're all meant to communicate with each other. They're meant to work as a team to help bring each other up. But because there's so much distrust, it ends up hindering them. Then, of course, you can ask the question, well, why do they distrust each other? Well, you got to realize who they're surrounded by. They're molded by their surroundings, and their team members or party members or adventurers that they're working with aren't exactly good people. And there's one particular individual out of all of them, obvious, you know who, the one who shall not be named. She is very manipulative, but she isn't just manipulating the spear hero. She is manipulating all of the heroes. All of them. All four of them. In some way, shape, or form, and including the king as well, and other people that will listen to her. And again, that's not a spoiler, that's just obvious. It's already in the story that she's manipulative and that she has been manipulating people and turning them against each other, which brings in a lot of distrust, which again adds a lot of fraction and hatred towards each of them, which leads to them not trusting each other, not taking in those systems, and not potentially gaining more power. Because again, at the end of the day, if they can gain those powers, they can gain those extra systems, and they can take on greater challenges, gain more power upgrades for their weapons, and then also continue to take on bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger challenges, like a cascading effect or a snowball effect. But then you've also got to look at the other issue, that their team members are useless. Like, you look at, for example, the bow hero. The bow hero's team members are so stupid and so selfish and so self-righteous to the point where, yeah, they'll leave the other heroes and ditch them at the moment's notice. When you look at, for example, the spear hero and how he's just kind of frailing around with his little, you know, little mini harem, but those girls are just kind of following along just to kind of, you know, bask in the glory of being one of the heroes. And it's the same with all the party members. They're not as helpful as I think some people realize, and it's them that are holding them back. It's really the Shield Hero that got lucky with Raphtalia and then Philo, and then kind of things kind of slowly built up over time, because he was the one that was isolated. So anyone else that got isolated because of those vile people, they then of course work with the Shield Hero, and they all end up growing together because the Shield Hero tries to help everyone as best as possible. And it's a multi-part process. So I feel like that's one of the reasons why the other three heroes are so useless. Again, yes, they can be seen as arrogant and also selfish, but this is where the spoiler part comes in. And I don't really feel this is a spoiler because I feel like it's stating the obvious. But again, you remember from the first season, the Curse series, the Rage series, that's what the Shield Hero has. He was so consumed by rage and anger that he was consumed by it, and it basically was a massive power, but it also is a massive curse. That's why it's the Curse series, Captain Obvious. But if you remember, it's the 7 deadly sins, so there are more of them. Now clearly, being that there are more of them, do you think the Shield Hero is just going to collect them all like Pokemon? No, it's clear that the other Curse series are lingering around elsewhere. And KFC has, again, Kentucky Fried Chicken herself, has noted that it's very dangerous, you shouldn't use them, but they're very tempting, their power is very tempting. So it's pretty obvious, and I'm not going to say too much, but it's pretty obvious that the other heroes are affected in different ways, shape, or forms. And you only have to look at specific behavioral traits to kind of get an idea of possibly what those other sins are that they may have. So that's another thing that, sure, it gives them a lot of power, but it's going to hold them back as well. And it's going to affect how they communicate, the team. Yes, you get that little oomph of power, but look at how much it's affected the Shield Hero. He had to use it in the most desperate and dire situations, and then there are massive consequences to it as well, and things that have just ended up going wrong because of it. So it's what's to say that because of the manipulation going on, not just by the party members, but also by you-know-who, and it's not just affecting the Spear Hero, but also the other two, Bow and Sword, adding on top of the Curse series, they could be drastically negatively affected to the point where it makes their lives a lot more challenging to try and gain powers, because it's influencing their mindset of being like, well, you know, this is how things go, or too much pride, or too much lust, or too much, again, different types of emotions going on. So you've got to put that into a weight as well. Again, I'm not trying to, white knight for the other heroes, but I'm trying to point out that the point of the story is to show how flawed they are because of the different issues and things that they've got to go through, and that clearly there is going to be a lot of character development going on. The only downside about the Shield Hero series is that it generally focuses a lot on, of course, Captain Obvious, the Shield Hero. And that's fair enough, but it would be nice if the light novel series did give a little bit more focus, whether it's just one chapter or not, going over, or even a couple of more chapters, explaining the mindset and a lot of the stuff that's going on in these other heroes' heads to allow us to understand what's truly going on. And sometimes it does it from time to time, but I don't feel like it does it enough for us to truly understand. And yes, there are side story spin-offs, but those are like completely different universes itself, so there's not as much heavy focus to give us kind of the detail compared to like other light novel series like Overlord or Jobless, where they do spend a lot of time trying to allow you to understand what's going on in their heads and what's holding them back or what's allowing them to move forward. So it's just one of those things that I kind of want to point out to people that yes, the other 3 heroes, they are useless, they are annoying at times, but there's clearly reasons, and it's part of the story, it's part of the journey. And as time goes on, you will see satisfactory, possibly, depending on if you find that satisfactory or not, conclusions to their overall arc. And it's just, again, every character in the story is getting some small arc, whether it's Raphtalia, the Shield Hero, Philo, it's all just, different characters get different amounts of attention at different points in time. So, again, I'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I'd love to know your thoughts on that kind of topic. I know, again, some people really don't like some of the characters in the story. It's understandable, but at the same time, I feel that's why they're made in the way they are, to give them room to grow and to build upon who they are. But that's just, again, how storytelling goes. Some people love it, some people don't, but I merely just wanted to look at a different perspective. So, again, if you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe for more anime content, and I'll see you, beautiful nerds, in the next video.